Welcome to a very special episode of the Preschool All-Stars podcast. I'm your host, Joy Anderson, and today we're recording our 50th episode. To celebrate, I'm going to share a very special story with you. You see, 2.5 years ago, I received a mission from God to bring the mothers home. Only I didn't know what it meant until now. Join me today as I show you how to overcome your fear by taking the next right step, and how the next step will always be given when you're ready. Now, some of my All-Stars know this story, and All-Stars, as I shared some of the story, could you please share in the comments as you saw me go through this entire process, because you've seen me processing since February. And if you could share in the comments about anything as you hear it, listen to the story, that'd be great. This story starts back in February, okay? And pause. I'm going to do the fastest version. It starts back actually 2 years and 4 months ago, okay? Now, I was, at the time, I had my 5 kids, but my younger 2, I was homeschooling, right? And I was driving them around. It was a Friday afternoon. I was driving all around, taking them to all their normal things, the park and the library and my son's speech therapy and everything. And as I was going along and driving, this phrase came to my mind: bring the mothers home. I was like, well, I do bring the mothers home. I help them start preschool. So surely I do that. Okay, that's a cool phrase. But the phrase wouldn't leave my head. And all day long, as we're going through all of our things, it kept coming back to me. And I kept thinking, what does that mean? Bring the mothers home. And I realized, well, I'm doing that, right? I'm helping these women come home with their children. And that afternoon, I came home and it couldn't get out of my head. So I started writing all of my thoughts. And I wrote this huge, long email and I sent it out to my list. Post in the comments if you got that email 2 years, 3 months ago or so, if you vaguely remember that one. And I sent it out to the world. I said, oh, that was great. That was a good process. And anyways, the next day I got so many responses back. I was like, oh, people really resonated with that. Okay, that's great. Well, I go on with my day and things like that. And at the time, we're trying to build this business that preschool system, yes? And so every couple, every few months or maybe every 6 months or so, I'd get that phrase come back in my head and I would think, oh, it must be time for us to send out the email again. And so I would copy that and I would send out the email to my list again and think, check, I did it, right? Well, fast forward about 1 year later, I was at a Tony Robbins event and I wrote I don't even know where this paper is. I do try to keep it close to me. I was at a Tony Robbins event. And I was working a full-time job because I had sold my preschool. I was working a full-time job. And I also was trying to figure out, am I supposed to be serving my boss's mission or my mission? Because I thought I'm supposed to hear helping women to bring the mothers home and also to help them start preschool. So where am I supposed to be working? I was working about 80 hours a week. And I went to this Tony Robbins event and with this question in my mind, and it's a big hoorah and all this sorts of stuff. But then eventually it kind of tones it down. And you just ponder on all the blessings that you have. And, you get super still with yourself. And you're during that experience, though, I was so grateful for all the blessings I had in my life. I was just bawling my eyes out. And a big conference room, right? And the lights are a little bit dark and the music is super low. And all across the room, all you could really hear was just these heavy sobs of just as we were feeling so grateful for everything that we had in our life. And right after that, we sit down and we're just, packed. It was right before COVID shut down. We're super packed and we're all sitting down in the meeting. And when we were there, we were asked to write a letter to ourselves 1 year later. What would you be doing? What do you need to do now to have a better life a year from now? What do you need to take away from this conference? So I'm sitting down and I'm writing. But again, what was the thought in my head? It was, whose mission am I supposed to serve, right? Where am I supposed to go with this? Am I supposed to help women start preschools or serve my boss's mission? What am I supposed to do? Because I'm working 80 hours a week and I can't keep doing this anymore. And as I'm writing, I just feel like I'm getting a download from God. And I'm not really processing too much what I'm writing, except for the first line. And my boss at the time was named Russell. Love him, great man, great company to work for. 80 hours of work week really hurt me, though, to be able to keep that up. It was a very challenging job. But the first sentence that I wrote that I at that point realized this is what the answer is was, you are not qualified to do the work God needs you to do. God brought you to Russell to prepare you to serve your all-stars and as many women as possible. And it goes on and on. And I was like, oh, okay. I wasn't ready before to be able to serve the preschool system mission, to be able to help this get out to the world. I wasn't ready. So that's why I got brought to my mentor, who I worked for 80 hours a week, so that I could learn all the skills I needed to know. And I was like, okay, I get it, right? And that's what I thought it was. And I'm just, bawling as I'm writing all this. I'm not really processing everything. And anyways, and then the conference is over and, I'm wiping the tears off my face and stuff. And I put this into my backpack. And that was a year and 3 months ago, right before the shutdown. And then one day I was just driving home from work. It was the next month. I was driving home from work. I got that impression again, bring the mothers home. And I was like, oh, okay, well, it must be time to send out the email. So I was like, okay, when I get home from work, I'm going to go send the email. So sure enough, I'm still kind of having like a frustrating day. Get home and I don't talk to the family. I just go straight into my bedroom, shut the door, and I send out the email to my list again. And that was in February, mid of February. And when I did that, I was like, check. Okay, I did that, right? And I'm still kind of in a grumpy mood. And then I got this impression, go read your letter. I was like, I already know what that letter says. It said that I wasn't ready to do the work. I needed to be, I needed to learn, right? I already knew what the letter said. And read your letter. Okay. So I go get my backpack that the letter had stayed in there for a month. And I pulled out the letter. You can see it was kind of a little bit crumpled and stuff. Pulled out the letter and I start reading. I'm like, yes, I understand that. I understand that. And this is what I did not remember reading, was the very bottom of the letter. It says, because I was thinking I'm just here to help women start preschools. That's what Bring the Mothers Home means, right? It says, this is not about preschool. Remember, this is stuff that I wasn't processing what I was writing. I was feeling like I was just getting a download from God. I'm just writing as fast as I can. Tears pouring as I was writing. It says, this is not about preschool. This is about mothers serving their families and their communities, bringing them home. And it says what? Joy, bring the mothers home. This is not about preschool. This is about mothers serving their families and their communities, bringing them home. Joy, bring the mothers home. And I just lost it when I read that because I did not remember writing that. And here it is in writing, this phrase that kept coming to me over a year. What is this phrase? And I remember thinking that, like, what is this? And the impression I got immediately back was, that's your podcast. And I was like, great, I'm working 80 hours a week and now I need to make a podcast. And then the impression came, quit your job. You need to quit your job. So I quit my job 2 months later. I have not made this podcast. I do not know what this podcast is all about yet. I don't have all the answers. I know, though, that I'm getting closer and closer and closer. And so I quit my job. And then we did Teach Online Preschool. Who remembers that? Put in the comments if y'all were part of Teach Online Preschool in March of 2020 when the world shut down. We put online preschools back up within a week. And then I did the Stronger Together Summit. If you were part of the summit, let me know. Stronger Together. And I started growing this business full time in 2020, right? And pouring my heart and soul into you, into helping women start preschools, because that's all I know to do. And I don't know what this mission is about helping moms serve their families and communities, but like until the next step is given, I don't know. So I just poured my heart into this business for all of 2020, 21. And at the end, so the beginning of 2021 in February, I was sitting in a meeting just like this, where it was a Zoom mastermind. And I had pondered for 3 days. I was like, okay, this is great. I just launched my Preschool All-Stars podcast and I was exhausted. And like, what am I doing with my life? And am I serving my mission? Am I on the right track? That was the question I was forming, was, what's the next step of this Bring the Mothers Home movement? Am I on the right track? Because I haven't gotten any inspiration for a year now. And in that moment, I had this picture come to me. And this is where I did not clearly explain it yesterday. I want you to pay attention, please. It was in this moment of a meeting just like this. Guys, pay attention. Like, this gives me chills just remembering me being on my bed in a Zoom room, my camera off because I was absolutely exhausted after the podcast launch. Just pondering, like, what's my next step? Just as you are pondering, what's your next step? And I got this picture in my head. And all I can say is it was a moment in time. It was not some like magical picture. It was not some memory of the past. I felt like it was the future. It was a moment in time captured. It was just a vivid, I can picture it to this day. It was me on a mountainside with my two children, Sarah and Ethan, who are now 10 and 8. And I was homeschooling them. And there were evergreens all around us. And there was a lake on our left. Clear as day, I can picture this. And when I had that picture come to my head, as I was forming the question, what is the next step in the Bring Their Mothers Home movement? Am I on the right track? I got the impression that is the next step. But I'll tell you, it freaked me out because that time, whenever it was, in February 2021, guys, I saw the joy in that picture. And the joy in that picture was the healthy joy I used to be. The one who ran marathons, the one who was 60 pounds lighter, the one who was happy and active and absolutely joyful in her life, homeschooling her children. And I freaked out because I felt like that was the next step for me, and I was not ready to go on that journey. Have you guys ever felt like that? Maybe you're feeling that like right now, like you're like inspired to go on this preschool journey, but you're freaked out. I don't know that I want to walk that walk. It's going to be hard. Yeah, it's hard. Guess what's also hard? A 60-pound health journey. That's also hard. But I knew that was the next step. And I knew it so firmly inside of myself that I, that night, wrote a Facebook post in my mastermind group with a picture of that, documenting how I felt in that moment and how that was my next step. I told my husband that night about it. I went live in my Facebook group the next morning in All Stars to process what I was just about to endeavor, what I was about to embark on that I did not want to, but I felt like I was called to the next step, the next right step. Yes. So my All Stars have seen me go through this journey since February 2021 of massive growth and trying to understand what this entire process is. And I won't share all the details about it, but I'll let you know that in February, that is when I did start on this process of how do I get to that? I want that. When I told you yesterday, get your why and paint the picture, make it as vivid as you possibly can. What is your why? Why are you doing this? Why do you want to be home with your kids? Why do you want that consistent income? What's happened in your past that you want to never happen again? That you want to have a future of absolute happiness? You make that strong why, okay? And so when I had this picture with me, I went on this health journey. And as I've said, in the past 3 months, I've lost 30 pounds. But more importantly, as I'm becoming this joy, more importantly, something else was happening. Where are these evergreens and mountains and lakes? Because they're not in Gilbert, Arizona. Just like I wasn't the joy in that picture, that was not where we're currently living. Where the heck is that? Right? And in fact, my husband, who was in flight school at the time, and that's why we moved to Arizona, he was in flight school for months. He had almost a near death experience where he almost ran into another plane, or another plane almost ran into him. And he quit flying the very same night, never went back to fly again. That was in March. So do you see that things are moving forward in a way that are now all of a sudden saying, well, there is nothing for us here in Gilbert, Arizona anymore. There's no flight school for us to go to because that's not what we're doing. So now what's the next step? And we're looking for this place. We're looking for the mountains, the lakes, the evergreens. And fast forward, this is where we come into the Wednesday. Yes. And I want to show you a picture really quick if I have my phone. On Wednesday, before Mother's Day, this is where I found, so I get this picture up. Okay. I was looking for properties, like maybe we could just stay at Airbnbs during the summer and I'll just like get my head straight and I'll know what we're supposed to do for the future. Well, Airbnbs weren't working out. And I was like, well, you know what? Maybe we'll just start looking for properties to buy then. And we're just searching all over. And I was looking for lakes. Where's a lake? And then I'll look around the lakes for the evergreens and the mountains. And nope, that doesn't look right. That doesn't look like that. And I found this little lake up in a little city called Hope, Idaho. And this picture was what was on. Can you see that? This picture, what was on the actual description. Like it was the first image. Yes. And I saw lake and mountains and evergreen. And I said, wow, that's interesting. And this was Wednesday before Mother's Day. And I had just started looking on Sunday before Mother's Day. Do you not want to know when this property was brought up? This property was listed on Sunday before Mother's Day, the very day I started looking for properties online. So I keep looking and I keep looking. I'm like, what is this? This is crazy. We don't want acres. What is this? Like, this is great. Like, interesting. This is a lot of land, but we don't want land. And I'll tell you, I saw this picture here. So I can flip it. Now I got to scroll. Okay. I saw this picture here, and I'm sorry, it's going to get super, super widescreen and kind of weird, but I saw this picture here and I thought, now you can't see that. It's not as beautiful. Maybe I'll flip it. And I had one word come to me there. I can do that. Okay. That's much better. I had one word come to me when I saw this picture, and the word was retreat. And I knew also that it was bring the mothers home. Like there was something to do with this property, that this would be the place where mothers would get strength to serve their families and their communities. And I don't know what retreat is. I don't know what that is. That's insane. I don't know what that is, but pay attention to this. I saw this barn. This was the picture I saw next. And as soon as I saw that barn, I thought of one woman's name. And I told you about her yesterday. Her name is Melody. And I don't personally know Melody. I only know Melody because she helped my sister probably 12 years ago with a retreat that she did. Okay. And that's the only way that I remember this lady from 12 years ago. But all of a sudden this retreat word is in my head, and I see this picture of this barn, and I remember Melody in my head, and I'm like, I know that she's part of this somehow. I don't know how, but somehow she is going to be part of this. And I tried to find her. Right. So we got we're under contract, all that stuff. Mother's Day, we go under contract. And then I spend a month trying to find this lady Melody. I can't find her anywhere. Her websites are shut down. I can't find her. Her text isn't working. Her Facebook isn't working. And I'm realizing, like, this might not be anything then. I don't know why I thought of her. Finally, I get in touch with her just a couple days ago. And I say to her, like, and I give her the whole thing, like, I tried to reach out to you on Thursday before Mother's Day because when I felt like you were the person that I needed to contact for this next step. And I know there's a curriculum that you teach that I need to teach these women. I know what curriculum it needs to be. And she's like, this is crazy, because I have had women reach out to me this past month asking me to bring that curriculum back that she used to teach. She used to have certified instructors. She used to have women teach this curriculum. She used to teach this curriculum in retreats. She's like, I haven't done it for years, but this past month, have felt so inspired to bring this back. And then she said, as I said to you yesterday, she said, I even wrote down this phrase that came to her as she was trying to figure out what to do with her life. And then, in the next coming months or whatever. And the phrase was, joy will come to you in a big way. And she's like, I saw your name and your message, and I just freaked out, saying, this might be it. Now, I don't know if it's Joy the emotion or me, Joy, but regardless, we both were brought together. And she has agreed, and she has had massive outpouring from her community now that she has taken this next step to be able to teach this curriculum again. Now, why do I share this story? Why is it important? This is my mission, and it's growing way bigger than preschool. And I'm asking you to join it with me. If you are interested in starting your preschool or running your preschool or growing your preschool or selling your preschool one day, or even trying to figure out if this is the right avenue for you, if you want to stay home with your kids, if you want that consistent income, if you want to make a difference in children's lives, we're the group for you. Preschool All-Stars is the group for you. I don't know where this is going. All I know is this is my next step. And my All-Stars can attest that for the past, since February, I have been trying to figure this out. What is bring the mothers home? What am I supposed to do on earth? Am I just here to help women start preschools, or is there something more? There is something more, and it is for you. It is for everyone. And I'm here to do it. So whether that speaks to you or whether preschool speaks to you, we are here for all of you. You are meant for more. You are meant for greatness. And I'm sorry, my preschool all-stars, you also heard how much I struggle. This past month, we put in an offer. We accepted the counter offer. We were under contract for June 30th. And there was one thing that still had to happen. I had to get approved for a second mortgage because this property is going to take every single penny that we have. Every investment, every savings, everything that we have. But I know that it is there for these retreats. That is what I know. And I don't know how I'm going to do them. All I know is that Melody and her curriculum have been put here at this moment for the perfect, this is what it's supposed to be. And that video absolutely solidifies that with me, that this is what I'm also called to do. And in fact, those who were in the Breakdown to Break free workshop, you felt similar. I'm sure when you watched that video. I've been trying to teach this for the past year. I don't have all the pieces. She's the missing piece. Today, we thought the closing would be pushed and the thing was going to fall apart. Today was a red letter day for me. Today, we finally got a confirmation that the second mortgage went through. We are headed to closing. But that is something that is so special to me as I walk this with faith and trying to keep the faith in front of me. I do this just like I'm asking you to do this with your preschool, with every step you make. So please know I walk the same scary path ahead, but I do it with faith. And that's who I am. And if that's somebody that you want as your mentor, I am here for you. If you love today's episode, then you are going to love this. I want to give you a free gift in your hands. This is a copy of my book, Start Your Preschool, and I want to get it to you for free. Yes, I said for free. It is a 300-page book. It'll help you learn the step-by-step process to actually starting your local or your online preschool. Every single step that I walked myself through, as well as the thousands of women who've created their own successful preschools, have gone through the exact steps listed in this book. Not to mention, I also share 20 amazing women's stories. So you can see how not only did it work for me, but it works for amazing women just like you as well. I want to get you this free copy. Just go to freepreschoolbook.com or click the link in the description and we'll get it to you today. Again, just go to freepreschoolbook.com and we'll get it right to you.